He said, Pej, actually, most addicts and alcoholics that are in recovery don't even know it, but they're codependent. And definitely codependents can experience massive amounts of depression. Hello everybody, my name is Pej. I'm an interventionist. I help people with drug addiction, alcoholism, or mental health. Our topic today is codependency. How to overcome codependency. What is codependency? Let's get into the nitty-gritty. So how did I first ever even get introduced to codependency? I was in rehab 14 plus years ago. There was somebody there and I heard the counselor constantly telling them that they display codependent behaviors. And I kept thinking, like, I feel sorry for that person, although I really didn't know what codependency was. Then I sat in a group setting one day, and that same counselor then went on to say that everybody in that room was codependent. And I raised my hand real quick and I said, wait a second here. So you're saying that I'm codependent too? And he's like, you're absolutely codependent. I'm like, how so? You keep pointing the finger at that particular person and saying that they're codependent. All of a sudden I'm codependent? He said, Pej, actually, most addicts and alcoholics that are in recovery don't even know it, but they're codependent. I'm like, so what are you saying? And he didn't really go into depth about why I'm codependent. He had me go to a Codependency Anonymous meeting. And I remember being there and taking this questionnaire and then actually sitting down and listening to other people sharing, and while being there I was like, oh, I do all of that stuff. And so what is that stuff? I'm Persian, so in our community codependency runs rampant, and codependents are basically, it's a behavioral and emotional condition, sometimes described as a circular condition. We become involved in other people's lives. It may be one of our loved ones. It may be an alcoholic, an addict, or just, your kids. It could be your lover. It could be your parents. And we want to fix things. As codependents, we want to fix things. So we want to constantly fix the happenings of other people's lives. We become enmeshed in their lives. We become helicopter moms are definitely codependent. Helicopter dads are definitely codependent. They want to be overseers. They want to make sure that everything that's happening in their loved one's life is happening to their liking, the way that they want it, the way that they determine it, the way that the outcome is going to have to. It will never be the way it should be unless the codependent person who is overseeing, sort of like a puppeteer, is making sure that everything is kind of arranged the way they want it to be. And unfortunately, it's never good enough. Codependents always have this sort of emptiness within themselves, and as bad as it may sound, they're very selfish. They think that by fixing other people, this is what's going to fill them up. So in a sense, they become addicted to the other person, and they want to constantly keep on chasing them around or making sure that they are living in their lives the way that they would like to see them be, and it's never good enough, like I just mentioned before. So how does one overcome codependency? Well, definitely there are 12-step meetings for codependents, Codependent Anonymous, and there's the lovely books by Melody Beattie, who I really got into deeply. Codependent No More. It's been around for decades, and she so eloquently articulates and breaks down codependency within her books. But I believe one of the most freeing things for a codependent is, first of all, to recognize your codependency. Sometimes a therapist or a case manager or a counselor might sit with somebody in a family setting or some kind of a family unit and make it apparent to certain parents, if they're truthful with them, or somebody that's a loved one of a person that the codependent is codependent in their life, and let them know, listen, it sounds like you're displaying a lot of codependent behaviors, and so that individual has to get honest with themselves and really ask themselves, do I do these things, and are these things healthy, and are they even changing or helping the individual who I'm codependent on? And when somebody gets honest with themselves and realizes that their codependency is A, selfish, and B, not really helping the individual, then they have to really they need to delve deep within themselves, do some internal work, and see where the codependency stems from, how it comes about, why it's a constant driving force within their lives, and what are they going to do to overcome the codependency. Definitely a 12-step process might be beneficial to the individual, but also just trying to pull it from the root, see where it stems from. Sometimes, in my family unit, definitely my mother had a lot of codependent traits. My dad, not so much, although, in some cases, he definitely observed from a distance to see how my progress was, let's say in my recovery process. But regardless of the fact, I would get wrapped up in certain relationships and try to fix people in those relationships, whether they were my lovers, whether they were somebody who was my qualifier because I saw them being in active addiction and I thought that I could fix them. These are things that I had to really get honest with myself. Like, I can't fix everybody. I can't save everybody. So I can't get wrapped up in their lives and constantly be enmeshed and try to be the fixer. I'm not God. I can't play God. I got to let people have their own experiences, and I could be, if I'm asked for advice, I could tell them what I would do, but I don't need to tell them what they must do. When I need to point the finger and keep telling people how to live their lives or how to get sober, sometimes it'll blow up right in my face, and then I, myself as a codependent, it'll hurt my feelings, or it'll make me sad, or I will feel incomplete, or I'll feel like I'm not accomplishing anything, and it'll make me get down. And definitely codependents can experience massive amounts of depression because who they're trying to fix, it's just not to their liking. It's never enough. It's never working out. I've got to come to terms with the fact that I need to overcome my codependency. And you know what the reality of it is when I actually come to terms with it and I work through it and I don't try to be the ultimate controller of everything, whether it be in relationships or somebody else's lifestyle or addiction or all the problems that they endure, it becomes a very freeing experience where I don't have to let my codependency run rampant within my own behavioral attitudes and behaviors. So, does codependency enable addiction? I'm asked this question quite often. Absolutely it does. Most definitely it does. A lot of people will think that they are, better than the professionals, that they know better, that they are going to keep somebody within their own family system, within their own home or their own area, and try to fix them themselves. And by being codependent like that, they're being selfish, and they're not allowing this person to have an experience where they're going to probably require some professional help, or they're going to need somebody who's got experience that can actually get through to them. A person that's codependent that doesn't have a drug and alcohol problem, if they're going to try to fix it like a drug addict or an alcoholic, they don't realize that they don't speak their language. They're not going to be able to get through to them. So they come at them with things that are perceived as lectures. They come to them as things that are perceived as the same old frothy emotional appeal, telling somebody how much potential that they have and what they can do with their lives and why are they doing this to themselves, and it can be so much different. Let me help you. I think that codependents definitely have their hearts in the right place. Like, they definitely do want to see the best interest for whoever their addict or alcoholic might be that they're involved with in their life. However, the way that they're going about it from a codependent standpoint is never very helpful. And, it's not going to fix them. It's actually going to make you more down on yourself as a codependent. And so codependency does not help the addict or the alcoholic. So what steps can people take to overcome dependencies? Well, like I mentioned earlier, there's a book by Melody Beattie, Codependent No More. I would look up books that are in relation to codependency. Melody Beattie is definitely a renowned author and has massive amounts of experience with codependency. So what she professes and what she speaks about can definitely be taken to heart. But it's also, it's not just about reading the book and learning about codependency. It's really getting honest with yourself and realizing that codependency is not healthy. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for the one that you think that you're going to try to fix or be effective in their life and change them. And so, there's many, and then there's also 12-step meetings that are directly in relation to codependency, and those are meetings that somebody could look up online and go to the meetings and end up becoming a part of that fellowship and working those 12 steps of Codependency Anonymous. So if you suffer from codependency or know somebody who does suffer from codependency and would like some tips, by all means, you can always reach us at this phone number. And if you also like this video and would like to see other videos in relation to alcoholism, addiction, mental health, or codependency, you can go ahead and click this link. Don't forget to subscribe. Push the subscribe button to learn more about codependency and many other things that we talk about in these recovery-related podcasts and such.